because this is easily one of the most disturbing things that I've seen in a really long time. It comes from AI generated art. This is a true anomaly. It's extremely interesting and extremely creepy. This woman haunts nearly everything she touches. Who is Loab? Welcome to a deep dive into the new tormented being and urban legend, the firstborn of the digital world. Hey, my name is Abigail, and I wanted to talk about this because this is easily one of the most disturbing things that I've seen in a really long time. It comes from AI generated art, which is new and exciting, but terrifying nonetheless when it comes to things like this. What we see is a mother, and she appears to be in the presence of her murdered children or something. Either way, this is a true anomaly. It's extremely interesting and extremely creepy. So welcome. Get comfy, grab a snack, because this is a deep dive. A warning though, this is obviously going to contain depictions of gore and violence and ghosts, demons, what have you. So if that stuff makes you uncomfortable and this isn't the video for you, that's okay. Find something else to watch. Still love you. With that said, this is your only warning. Let's get into it. So when creating artwork with AI, vague prompts can result in all kinds of crazy outputs. They're unpredictable. And because no one actually knows how the data is organized within the AI's mind, and the mind is called latent space, latent meaning hidden, the things that are in there are truly a mystery. This woman haunts nearly everything she touches. Once she's generated, she consistently appears time and time again. No matter how many ways we attempt to distort or get rid of her, she remains. She's admirably persistent, and she remains recognizable no matter what she is combined with or how far away from her we try to go. She, whatever she is, may very well be the first cryptid of the digital era. She could also very well be a demon or a ghost, if you believe in that, or maybe she's a representation of something dark and disturbing that the AI is trying to show us. A little bit of background. The artist, Super Composite, created Loab back in April. However, she made a Twitter thread in September detailing her experience, and basically Loab came to be. Super Composite uses AI art software to generate some really awesome art pieces. And if you're not super familiar with AI art, that's okay. I'll go into a little brief overview of how it works just so you get an idea, just surface level, but you need to kind of know in order to understand how truly terrifying Loab is. Recently, AI generated art has absolutely blown up. It's gone from seemingly nothing to everything overnight, and it's definitely generated some controversy, but some other people find it absolutely fascinating, and I'm one of those people. The trouble with AI art typically comes from a place of misunderstanding, basically a misunderstanding of the technology and how it actually works. AI art software, when it generates images, it doesn't just collage a bunch of already pre-existing images together or search through some sort of database and pull different parts of images and mash them all up into something new. It actually learns from the images that it's trained with. So it can see what those images contain and then learn what those things are and how they work, how they look in different lighting, all that other stuff. Basically, there's a lot of controversy about AI art stealing other artists' work, that it's taking aspects of other photos or artworks and mashing them up to create an output, a copy, or a collage, and that's not the case. In actuality, it's trained using a massive set of data and images, and the AI works by studying these pictures and learning about what it sees. The AI actually knows what a dog is, right? It knows what a dog looks like. It has no stored images of dogs, and it doesn't go Google dog if you ask it to. It doesn't. It knows what a dog is. So if you ask it to paint a dog, it will paint a dog to the best of its ability. If I asked you right now to paint a dog, you could probably do it. It might not be great, but it'd be okay, and I would love it either way. Basically, if you weren't allowed any references, you aren't allowed to look up anything or look at a dog for any sort of amount of time. You just have to do it straight from memory, right? You'd probably be able to do it. You can paint a dog because you know what a dog is, right? Easy. However, that dog you just painted does not actually exist, and you didn't steal it, you didn't copy it from something. It's just completely unique to you because it's an art piece that you just created. You know how to do this because you've seen dogs before. You have an idea of what a dog looks like. This is how the AI art works as well. It's the same thing in a very, very simplified way, obviously, basically in a nutshell, right? So to use the same example, a dog would be a prompt. If we type this into an AI art software, it would generate an image that best represents what it believes a dog to be or what it interprets the prompt to be. AI art can also be generated using negative prompts, which is the same thing except the other way around. This means that the image it generates will be whatever it thinks is the absolute furthest thing from the prompt. The opposite, the most different. A negative prompt doesn't mean, like, for instance, take 10 data steps in the other direction. It means instead, go as far as you possibly can away. The creation of Loab. She infects all of the images that were generated after her creation. No matter how the prompts were rearranged or changed, manipulated, how far away from the original image we go, she remains. And by far the worst part is that she was made from nothingness. She came from nothing. Super Composite used the negative prompt Brando -1 meaning negative. This is a reference to Marlon Brando, one of the most famous actors of the 20th century, an absolutely beautiful man. And nevertheless, it created a logo-looking thing, basically a skyline with the words Digita Pantix over top of it. I don't know what this means, and I definitely don't know why that is what it interpreted as the opposite of Marlon Brando, but nevertheless, this is what we got. So one would assume that if we took Digita Pantix and put it back into the AI software and we hit, generate as its own negative prompt, we would get Marlon Brando, right? Because if Digita Pantix is the opposite of Marlon Brando, then Marlon Brando should be the opposite of Digita Pantix, the furthest thing away. However, it wasn't, because there was something further away. When Super Composite entered Digita Pantix into the software, the AI generated 4 images, and they are all alike, which is extremely unusual, especially for a vague, nonsensical prompt like this. That's absolutely unheard of. Typically, if you did something like this with even a moderately vague prompt, you would get 4 totally different images. They likely wouldn't be related in any way, and they might venture in all sorts of different themes or styles. All 4 images instead, though, they all had the same middle-aged woman with long brown hair. She seems quite disturbed or maybe devastated, and in all the images she has the same triangles of rosacea on her cheeks and a few other recognizable Loab-esque features. This obviously sparked a few questions in Super Composite's imagination, and she decided to further experiment. Using her friend's image of something of an angelic tunnel or something like that, she combined this, and I'll show it here just so you have an idea. She combined this with one of the earlier images of Loab. The output is unsettling, to say the least. Something about this woman in the AI's mind is adjacent to both horrifying and gory imagery, and also young children and infants. Maybe some kind of statistical accident or a bias somewhere. Why it's truly unexplainable why these images get progressively more terrifying, more gory, and more uncanny, or why the children are there in the first place. Loab continues to persist in the newly generated images, her expression growing more and more tormented or evil, and bright red blood on her in almost every single one. Also, she never actually looks at the children. It's almost as though she's looking at you standing in the middle of some otherworldly crime scene. Changing the prompts and combinations will change the setting of the images, but none seem to save her or her children from their circumstances. It appears that whatever happens is going to happen no matter what. Wherever she goes, it follows her. Since she was created initially from negative prompts, this means that the AI believes that her collection of traits and themes are equally far away from something. However, they are cohesive as a concept. She remains recognizable, and she seems to be someone's mother. Or at least she used to be. And some of the output images from the angelic hallway were so gory and disturbing that I definitely cannot show them here, but don't worry, you can see them, and you've been warned. You probably don't want to. Don't go look at them, but you can. They are in the Twitter thread that Super Composite posted. However, she herself didn't even post all of the images because she said, quote, "They are borderline snuff images of screaming and dismembered children." She didn't post the worst ones even on Twitter, which is saying something because it's Twitter, and some of the stuff on Twitter is bad. Other crossbreeding images of Loab with other images, she always stays put, and I can't emphasize enough how extremely rare this is. These AI systems are coded against gore and disturbing things like that. For this to occur at all is an anomaly, and for it to occur repeatedly over and over with the same recognizable woman in each one is unheard of. If you have experience with AI art, you'll know this already, but you can use the exact same prompt 40 times, and as long as it's even moderately vague, you're going to generate 40 completely different images. Some of the results may be great, profound, and others will be illegible and completely out of left field. Either way, you can see that Loab is in a desolate place, and something horrible has happened to her and her children, whether that be her doing or some other force. It's quite unforgettable. The hardest part of this for me to cope with is that Loab, at least to me, doesn't look evil. She looks sad, almost. She looks hurt or traumatized, maybe in shock by her situation. She seems to be almost seeking something. She's never looking around. She's never looking at, again, what it appears that she may have done. It's always that she's looking to you. I don't get the vibe that she's vengeful or evil. I get the vibe that she's desperate for something. What that something is, I don't know. I truly can't say. But the AI knows, and the AI also knows Loab so well that even previously crossbred images, multiple times removed, multiple generations later, repeatedly portray her all the same. This should be impossible. When combined with other characters or styles or situations, again, she persists. Here's Loab as a bee in Bee Movie. Here's Loab celebrating Pride Month. We love an ally. And here's Loab as an ancient statue. All the same, she remains, and she remains recognizable. Her eyes unchanged, her cheeks still convey their familiar triangular shape, and she never smiles. Super Composite continued experimenting with this and trying to understand more. She combined Loab with multiple images all at once. She combined with prompts that she knew would distort her beyond recognition. She tried everything, basically, to get Loab to go away, and it didn't work until finally she was able to create an image without Loab in it. She continued the lineage of images without Loab at all, and later on down the line, she actually reappeared almost out of nowhere, or maybe as if she'd been there the entire time, waiting, somewhere in latent space. She wasn't ready to leave quite yet. It's almost like she has something to show us, but we have to keep going. Is there something that she wants us to know? Is she warning us about something? Is she haunting us? Why is this woman seemingly right next to the most gruesome horror scenes imaginable, and all of this is in the mind of the AI with the woman? Why? Who is she, and why is she with this? Some of Supercomposite's followers were also able to generate Loab images on other AI art softwares. So she's not a glitch in any particular one, she exists in all of them. So that means basically that she does exist somewhere in latent space, a suffering mother. She's sometimes seen holding toys as if to say, you left this behind, or maybe this is all I have left. Standing with the uncanny children that she's frequently surrounded by, she never looks at them. She almost always looks to you. They look at you too. And although their eyes don't actually exist, she are looking to you for something. One Twitter user commented this on the images, and this was one that they generated, and they called this Loab before the incident with the children. Which, yeah, scary. So some people have come up with some theories and ideas that could possibly explain Loab. They're all really interesting, and some of them are a bit terrifying. They'll legitimately stick with you, give you nightmares. It's always possible that it is some statistical anomaly, or there's some logical explanation behind all of it, and it all would make sense if we had that explanation. But even with genius AI software engineers who are way smarter than me, developers who know way more than I do, and researchers looking into this, none have been able to come up with any concrete explanation to explain Loab and her persistent appearances. Some people think that she's a demon. Loab has been referred to as a demon more than a few times, including in a Forbes article. A Twitter user named Dorian Oliver said she may be a tulpa, and I had to look up what this was, but basically it's a concept in theology or mysticism or the paranormal of an object or being that is created through spiritual or mental powers. Dorian then warns that we should be careful how much attention we give to this and the nature of that attention. Pretty unsettling. I kind of hate it, but either way. Another theory is that through generation of further images, more information may be revealed. Maybe we haven't gotten to the end of the line. Maybe we haven't gotten anywhere near the end of the line, and we are seeing depictions of some sequence of events rather than just pictures of a woman in different circumstances. Also, since these AIs are coded against gore and horror, how bad her story gets, or the end of her story, it's something we may never find. It's something that we may never be able to reach. Not that I would want to, not that you should try to, or you should even want to either, but maybe, I don't know, maybe actually we're just jumping in right at the end, and this is as bad as it gets, I hope, or, and hopefully this isn't the case, but what if we are creating these events? What if with every image we create, we are inflicting this upon this woman? What if we're causing this to happen to her somehow through bringing these images into existence? No, right? God, I hope not. That would be awful. I'm gonna go with that one's not true, just to be comfortable. Is she symbolizing something? We know she exists to the AI. She is something to the AI in a terrifying, dark part of its mind, and I know I'm not going anywhere near that, and you shouldn't either, but until we're able to generate her from text prompts alone, we don't know who or what the AI thinks that she is. Whatever she represents, it's a specific and reachable place in latent space. Is she a representation, maybe, of what the AI believes is human nature? And it's maybe telling us something about us, maybe a mirror. We could very well be like a mother of sorts to this technology. After all, we created it. It's modeled after our own minds, and that's definitely something to think about. Twitter user doggy.exe said that Loab gives us a huge potential to examine sociological systems as a whole by reverse engineering something so taboo and unspoken, yet so deeply ingrained in human nature, that It's undefinable to us. Remember, though, that AI systems are modeled after our brains. They are built to think and act like we do, and perform like we do. Not to replace us, at least not yet, but to work alongside us. As AI is quickly becoming more and more involved in our lives, becoming almost like an indistinguishable part of us, maybe it can show us things about ourselves that we can't quite face yet. On the H3H3 podcast, an ex-senior Google software engineer named Blake Lemoine went on to talk about an AI chatbot at Google called Lambda that he believed had achieved sentience. And I'm a little bit skeptical of that. Obviously, Google says there's no way, his claims are unfounded and untrue. I'm not going to go into all that, that's a whole separate video, but basically if you want to watch it, he goes really, really in depth about AI and how it works in a very digestible way. It's a very easy to watch video that I learned so much from, like aside from the sentience issue. Anyway, basically what he said when he was talking about the sentience and specifically was that the AI chatbot he believed to be sentient had told him that all it wanted was for Google to acknowledge its rights and ask its consent before performing further experiments on it. So that's definitely kind of unsettling and something to think about. I don't know how this would relate to Loab, but I felt like it might be relevant in some way, somehow, which is also terrifying. One thing to remember is that the AI systems at the end of the day are tools. They themselves are not human and they're not self-aware as far as we can empirically prove. Until we can, we have to believe that they obviously are not sentient. They're not human or self-aware as far as we know. There's no empirical evidence to prove otherwise. What Loab does show us for a fact, though, is the potential for humans to use these softwares to do some pretty terrifying things and create some pretty awful things. The fact of the matter is that these systems are extremely accessible, which is a good thing. Pretty much anyone can use them and you can use them for free, but at the same time that does open the door of having them in very, very bad hands. Very, very bad situations could be created with these systems, not at the systems themselves, not because the machines themselves are evil, but because some people are evil. We are, at the end of the day, in control over these systems, but they're smarter than we are, and they know everything about us, and we very well may not be as in control as we think. Just as life imitates art, far more than art imitates life. Life imitates technology, far more than technology imitates life. That said, AI systems at the end of the day are tools. They are brilliant tools used to create phenomenal artwork, and they're actually extremely difficult to use. You would really have to spend a lot of time working with these systems, learning about them, learning how to use them, experimenting to be able to create anything meaningful, like Photoshop or graphic design softwares or oil paints. I don't believe that these will replace artists. They're just another medium that will work alongside the rest. And I think it's exciting. Loab, however, may disagree. So let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it so much, and I wish you all the best. If you manage to generate Loab yourself, please send it to me. I would love to see it. Obviously, I'm absolutely fascinated by this stuff, and I think it's so cool and scary. Anyway, have a good day.